This one Zen secret will change how you see everything. All right. Let's start with a paradox, one that could change the way you see your entire life. The moment you start chasing something, you push it away. The moment you try to hold on too tightly, it slips through your fingers. This applies to happiness, love, success, even enlightenment itself. The more desperately you seek it, the more elusive it becomes. Why? This is the great Zen secret. When you seek it, you lose it. And this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea, it's something you've already experienced. Think about the last time you were truly happy. Was it when you were obsessively trying to be happy? Or was it in a moment when you weren't even thinking about it, when you were lost in something beautiful, something effortless? The happiest moments in life are the ones where we aren't trying to be happy. They just happen. Now ask yourself, why does love often come when we stop looking for it? Why do our best ideas appear when we're not forcing them? Why do artists, athletes, and performers talk about being in a flow state, where everything just clicks, only for that magic to disappear the moment they start overthinking? This isn't a coincidence. It's a fundamental principle of how reality works. And Zen masters have been pointing to this truth for centuries. But here's the catch: the harder you try to grasp this secret, the more it will evade you. You can't force it. You can't turn it into a technique. The moment you do, you've already lost it. So what do we do with this? How do we live our lives if chasing what we want only makes it run away? The answer lies in something most of us never consider: letting go. Not giving up, not being passive, but learning how to stop grasping so tightly. But here's the problem: letting go is terrifying. We are wired to cling, to control, to chase what we think will make us happy. From the time we are born, we are taught that success comes from striving, from pushing harder, from never giving up. And yet, the more we try to force life into our control, the more it resists us. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you squeeze it tightly, it slips through your fingers. But if you keep your palm open, it stays. That's how life works. The things we try to trap, happiness, love, meaning, can't be caged. They can only be experienced fully when we stop trying to own them. So let's go deeper. What does it mean to let go, really? Does it mean we stop caring? That we give up our ambitions, our dreams? No. It means we stop clinging to outcomes. It means we stop measuring our worth by whether or not things go exactly as we planned. It means we trust the process instead of trying to dominate it.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
But this is easier said than done. Our entire culture is built on the idea that fulfillment is something to achieve, something to win. We are told that if we just work harder, optimize more, push through, then one day we'll finally reach that place where everything feels right. But what if that place doesn't exist? What if the very act of seeking is the thing keeping us from finding? Zen teaches us that peace, happiness, and even wisdom are not things to be acquired, they are things to be uncovered. They are already here, already within us, but we are too busy searching to notice. So here's the real question: what are you clinging to right now? What are you so afraid to lose that it's keeping you from actually living? And what would happen, just as an experiment, if you let go? The paradox of effort: why trying too hard keeps you stuck. If letting go is the key, then why is it so hard? Why do we instinctively resist it, even when we know deep down that clinging only creates suffering? The answer lies in one of the most deceptive traps of the human mind: the belief that effort alone can solve everything. From the moment we are born, we are taught that hard work is the answer to all problems. If you want success, work harder. If you want love, try more. If you want happiness, chase it. And in many areas of life, this makes sense. If you want to build a house, you need effort. If you want to master a skill, you need practice. But what happens when we apply this same mindset to things that cannot be forced? Take sleep as an example. You cannot try to fall asleep. The more effort you put into it, the more you need it to happen, the more impossible it becomes. Sleep only comes when you surrender to it, when you stop grasping for it. The same is true for happiness, love, peace, inspiration. These things cannot be willed into existence. They arise naturally when we stop interfering. And yet, we resist this truth because it feels like giving up. We fear that if we stop trying so hard, everything will fall apart. We fear that without control, we will be lost. But here's the paradox: the people who live the most fulfilling lives are not the ones who force everything into place. They are the ones who move with life, who trust the flow of things instead of constantly fighting against it. Look at the greatest artists, musicians, and athletes. They don't achieve mastery by brute force alone. They reach their highest level when they enter a state of flow, where action happens effortlessly, where they are completely present in what they are doing. This is why a musician who overthinks every note will never play with true feeling. This is why a runner who tries to control every step will never find their rhythm. There is a point where effort becomes resistance, where trying too hard becomes the very thing that holds you back. Zen calls this Wu Wei the art of effortless action. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting without force, without struggle. Imagine a river. If you fight against the current, you exhaust yourself. But if you move with it, you go farther with less effort. Life works the same way. The more we resist reality, the more we suffer. The more we learn to move with it, the more we discover a kind of ease that most people never experience. But here's the challenge: letting go doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean we stop striving for things that matter. It means we stop attaching our entire sense of worth to the outcome. It means we give ourselves fully to the moment, to the process, without obsessing over where it will lead. Think about your own life. Where are you trying too hard? Where is your effort becoming resistance? What would happen if you relaxed, even slightly, and allowed things to unfold naturally? This is not an excuse to sit back and do nothing. It's an invitation to move differently, to trust that when you stop forcing, life has a way of arranging itself in ways you never expected. The question is, are you willing to let go of control long enough to find out? The illusion of control, while letting go leads to true freedom. If effort alone isn't the answer, then why do we cling so desperately to control? Why do we resist the very thing that could set us free? The truth is, control is one of the greatest illusions of the human mind. We believe that if we can just manage every little detail of our lives, our careers, our relationships, our futures, we can somehow protect ourselves from pain, uncertainty, and failure. But deep down, we know this isn't true. No matter how much we plan, life remains unpredictable. No matter how tightly we hold on, things still change. People leave. Circumstances shift. The things we once thought were certain slip away. And yet, instead of accepting this, we double down. We try even harder to control things that were never in our power to begin with. We mistake anxiety for preparation, overthinking for strategy, and control for security. But here's what Zen teaches us: security is an illusion. The tighter we grip, the more fragile we become. The more we try to force life into our expectations, the more we suffer when it inevitably refuses to comply. Think about how much energy we waste trying to control what other people think of us. We carefully craft our words, our actions, the way we present ourselves, believing that if we get it just right, we can make people love us, respect us, approve of us. But can we ever truly control how others see us? Can we stop someone from misunderstanding us, from judging us unfairly, from projecting their own fears and insecurities onto us? No, and the more we try, the more exhausted we become. Or think about how we try to control the future. We map out our lives, setting rigid expectations for how things should go. We tell ourselves that if we just follow the plan, happiness will be waiting for us at the end. But life doesn't follow plans. Unforeseen events happen, paths change, and when things don't go as expected, we suffer not because life is unfair, but because we refuse to let go of the script we wrote in our minds. So what happens when we finally drop the illusion of control? What happens when we surrender, not in defeat, but in trust? Something remarkable. We begin to experience life as it actually is, rather than how we think it should be. We stop resisting change and start flowing with it. We stop living in fear of the unknown and start embracing it as part of the adventure. Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring. It doesn't mean we stop making plans or working toward our goals. It means we release our attachment to certainty. It means we learn to dance with life instead of trying to pin it down. Think about the most peaceful people you know. They are not the ones who have everything under control. They are the ones who have made peace with uncertainty. They have learned to trust themselves, to trust life, to trust life, to trust that even when things don't go according to plan, they will find their way. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to that is keeping you from being free? Where in your life are you trying to force something that needs to be released? And what would happen if, just for a moment, you let go? The art of surrender, how letting go unlocks a life of possibility. If control is an illusion and clinging only creates suffering, then what does true freedom look like? What happens when we finally let go, not just intellectually, but fully, in the deepest part of our being? This is where Zen takes us beyond mere philosophy and into direct experience. It's one thing to understand that attachment causes suffering. It's another thing entirely to live in a way that is free from attachment. But here's the surprising truth: letting go isn't something we do once and then move on. It's a practice, a way of moving through the world that changes everything, not just how we see life, but how life unfolds in response. Think about it. When you stop clinging to outcomes, what happens? You become lighter. You move with more ease. You stop wasting energy on things you can't control and focus on what you can influence: your attitude, your actions, your presence in this moment. And paradoxically, it's often when we stop forcing things that they begin to align in ways we never could have predicted. Take relationships, for example. When we cling too tightly to someone, whether out of fear, insecurity, or the need for validation, we suffocate them. We turn love into possession, and in doing so, we lose the very thing we were trying to hold on to. But when we love from a place of freedom, when we allow people to be who they are, without trying to control them, something shifts. Love deepens. Connection becomes effortless. We stop trying to make others fit into our expectations and start appreciating them for who they truly are. Or consider creativity. The best artists, writers, and musicians don't create from a place of tension and control. They enter a state of surrender, allowing inspiration to flow through them rather than trying to force it. The moment they start overthinking, trying to make their work perfect, they block the very creativity they are seeking. But when they let go, when they trust the process, their work takes on a life of its own. Even in the face of fear, surrender is the key. We spend so much of our lives resisting discomfort, avoiding uncertainty, trying to protect ourselves from pain. But what if, instead of running from fear, we turned toward it? What if we allowed ourselves to fully feel it, to sit with it, to see what it has to teach us? Zen teaches that suffering isn't caused by pain itself, but by our resistance to pain. When we stop resisting, when we allow life to be exactly as it is, without fighting it, we discover something astonishing. Peace is not the absence of difficulty. It's the absence of struggle against difficulty. So what does this mean for your life? It means that wherever you are right now, whatever you are facing, you have a choice. You can continue grasping, clinging, trying to control the uncontrollable. Or you can surrender not by giving up, but by stepping fully into this moment, just as it is. This doesn't mean you stop dreaming, striving, or growing. It means you stop making your happiness dependent on whether or not things go exactly as you planned. It means you stop postponing your peace until some future moment and realize that everything you are looking for is already here if only you stop chasing it. So ask yourself what would happen if you stopped resisting the flow of life. What would it feel like to trust, even for a moment, that everything is unfolding exactly as it needs to? What would your life look like if, instead of clinging, you chose to open your hands and let go? Because here's the final paradox: when you stop seeking, you find. When you stop grasping, you receive. The peace, the love, the fulfillment you've been searching for, it's been here all along. The only thing standing in the way was the illusion that you needed to chase it. Now, the real question is, are you ready to let go?